Rainworld is at its core a game about being lost and confused, but its sense of discovery is what pushes you forward. What could possibly come after this? I've heard myself say that a lot. With the DLC, we introduced this little guy, the Watcher, and he is no exception to this. Each area is wildly different from each other, and you never know what you're going to see next. From pretty much the moment you start the DLC, you're pretty much already lost, being in a new area, hydroponics. When you start the DLC, the first thing you notice is an echo flash, so you know you're probably going to have to go look for one, but there's one issue. You have no idea where you are. Instantly that sense of discovery and mystery returns, driving you through the area, and then suddenly your heart drops as you recognize where you are. Industrial complex. But hey, at least you know what's up there now. I've always wanted to eat that popcorn plant up there. The start of the DLC is probably my biggest gripe with it, however, I do understand that it's setting up the themes of the campaign. If you're like me, you probably go and try to get to Looks of the Moon or Five Pebbles, only to find it blocked off by rot. It's a moment that kinda reminds me of that one room in Chimney Canopy when playing Saint. You eventually start noticing that everywhere is blocked off with rot, so you start wandering regions you probably already know, looking for changes, something that 100% won't become common later. The echo flash from earlier tells you that you probably have to go find all the echoes in all the areas you have access to. It's a great organic way to get the player to understand the general flow of the DLC in hindsight. It's something you have to trust the game about despite the original dislike for it. I would be lying if I didn't feel frustrated at being lost many times when playing through base game. You just have to trust the game's process, and man, this DLC will definitely make you question just about everything. I personally spent around 3 hours trying to find all the echoes and finding all the blocked routes. Instead of the typical echoes you see, you find this one, Spinning Top as she's known, and to be honest, I kinda hated her dialogue at first, it being so simple compared to the mysterious echoes from base game. But much like this DLC, she slowly grew on me, and it becomes obvious that she is childlike, and that kind of explains her behavior as well as putting the mental image of the ancients throwing kids into void baths. Scary. But now we can finally take a good look at the DLC proper. Meeting with Spinning Top, she will give you an invisibility timed ability. Personally, I think the timer is a little bit too long and forgiving, but don't get me wrong, the DLC is still really hard. Plus, the invisibility fits the theme of the Watcher, well, watching events play out in the shadows, invisible, and waiting for things to calm down. All the new areas, around 22 main areas I've counted, are all very unique. With each warp you go through, you truly have no idea what to expect. An area that I want to give an extra shout out to is Stormy Coast. I absolutely love the rain effect here and how stressful it makes navigating this region without actually hindering the player. I absolutely love the design of this place, with the rain only going through the gaps above and all the mysterious carts. It also boasts what, in my opinion, is the best threat track in the entire DLC, with it being ethereal, chaotic, and somehow sinister at the same time. Desolate Track is another favorite of mine. This long region is relatively quiet in comparison to most, with a strange bottom section that has whatever these things are. Looks like an Ed McMillan enemy. Speaking of enemies, there are a bunch of new horrors to be found. Little barnacle bastards, sea slugs, radioactive lizards, blizzard lizards, an assortment of rot lizards, and of course, Moth. I remember having a visible and disturbed frown on my face when I first heard a rot lizard scream, and it's not even mentioning the abomination that is a scion rot lizard. Horrifying creature. The rot lizard screams are actually really great because they somehow seem unnatural in a world full of seemingly unnatural things. I think it's a good representation of how sinister the rot really is, an expanded theme in the DLC. Each new region is always incredible, and it's exciting to see where it'll go next. I also love how the DLC encourages you to fully explore regions. It can be frustrating that a few regions don't actually have echoes, but I found this pretty rare, and it will leave you questioning if you explored everything or not. The biggest foreseeable complaint would be how utterly lost you can get in the DLC, going circles through areas that you don't know if you got echoes from or not. I personally think it's okay. Whenever I found myself going in circles, I just left to a completely new region. I think it would be more frustrating if the new regions just weren't so damn cool. I mean, look at these places. Much like base game, it drip feeds you cool things to look at and weird things you're not so sure about. You're not even able to confidently say that you're going the right way, something I felt hundreds of times in the base game. I also love that the portals are somewhat randomized, so you can't just look it up online. It reminds me of playing really obscure games and not being able to find a wiki. You're just lost and you're kind of forced just to figure it out. It also ties in very well with the theme of just watching and experiencing your environment, seeing places that potentially could have never been observed or appreciated if the watcher never saw it. This is also reflected by Spinning Top's journey. The watcher helps her move on by simply observing. With all that said, what do I think about the DLC? I think it's really fun, but I will admit that it's even less accessible than the base game, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's not like RaiNworld was ever meant to be. It's a special type of masochism, and I think if you enjoyed the base game, it's a perfect continuation of it and replicates the same feelings. I'm going to put an additional spoiler warning here. If you haven't done the secret ending yet, then I highly encourage it, even if you know everything else about the DLC. Outer Rim is a vast and lonely region, taking place seemingly at the edge of the world, so far in the future that it makes time not seem to matter at all. You see strange and ancient structures buried in the sand, somehow still managing to barely stick out despite the immeasurable time that has passed. RaiNworld does this occasionally, just a long walk with absolutely stunning scenery that you just have to kind of take it in. Like on top of Five Pebbles can, and that one room that I'm pretty sure everyone has a screenshot of. Verdant waterways to Turbulent Pump, looks to the moon, the entire base game ending, Ancient Urban, and a few more I'm likely missing. These moments with no enemies create an atmosphere that is both tranquil and lonely, in all cases reminding us that Slugcat is alone. In Outer Rim it seems all like this, as if we're the last living thing to exist. Of course, this is all quickly proven wrong as somehow an evil still persists at the end of everything. The rot still somehow transcends all rules of life and time, much like our little watcher friend. Seems like even the echoes have moved on, with the only one we see being Spinning Top that we even helped move on. If you were like me, you were probably disappointed at the lack of iterators. We know that the rot of Five Pebbles and Looks to the Moon was inevitable, and I honestly think that not fully having the closure fits the theming of base game anyways. I do love that seemingly at the end of the world, Five Pebbles' mistake is the only thing that is present. The throne is an interesting region, a final throne for the rot to sit on as it revels in its conquering of the world. The ending seems a bit weird with the watcher actually helping the rot spread and expand, but I do think it makes sense. The rot would inevitably consume everything, and the watcher is here to observe it all. Once enough regions are rotted, sounds emanate from the walls, sounds of a distorted iterator speaking. With the rot powerful enough to become a living, breathing thing. The Rot Prince might not even be an iterator, and I think the design is purposeful, using sounds and behavior of one. He has a wonderful twist of expectations, making the player regret their request to see an iterator. His personality is also as intriguing as it is horrifying. Instead of all life being separated from the cycle, he aims for all life to be one, breaking the cycle in his own way along with all other things. I also want to add that since he is effectively embodying everything, he is in some sense mirroring Five Pebbles and Moon, with him being very inviting and, dare I say, almost cozy, but also very task-orientated like Five Pebbles. This is likely to reinforce not only his goal, but also to mess with the player's expectations. I don't want to ramble on for too long, but in short, I think he and his dialogue is great, and I'm assuming others would think so too. Overall, I really enjoyed the DLC. Yes, I did get lost and frustrated a few times, but that's kind of the charm of RaiNworld. The only thing I might add is an indicator that an echo is present in the area you're in. Not every area has an echo, and I understand it's because you're supposed to be observing and admiring the environment, but it can be a little bit disheartening spending a few hours in a region to figure out that there's not even an echo there. The enemies are amazing. Every room is beyond detailed. Like seriously, not a single room is bland. I haven't even mentioned how awesome Ripple Space is, or how perfect the level design is. The Watcher is a return to the mystery and confusion of RaiNworld. It brings back that sense of discovery and uncertainty that was at the very core of the game to begin with. Thank you all for watching. It's important to note that I've kept myself away from opinions on the DLC so I can form an uninfluenced one. So if there's anything I missed, please feel free to tell me. Take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm just a pretentious dude who puts a quote at the start of his videos, so I'd like to see what y'all thought about it. I hope you all stay safe and take a note from the Watcher and just observe and appreciate the world around you. For our participation may be small, but our observations are vast.